Hi, everyone. Just a minute, I guess. Maybe. Okay. And just, okay, cool. All right, hi everyone, I'm Jessica Yubas, and I consult for Capa Consulting Group as a recruiter and a remote work advocate. What that means is that I source, coach, and place talent, like all of you, in desirable professional roles, and I also help people transition to working remotely. I myself made that transition 2 years ago when I decided to leave my well-established career in New York so that I could be a digital nomad, and that's how I ended up here today to talk to you about the 5 things hiring managers don't want to tell you about working remotely. About interviewing remote workers. All right, so before I jump into the meat of the presentation, I just want to tell you a little bit more about us. Capa Consulting Group is a staffing firm with a background with working with hiring managers that hire remote teams. So we've done over 500 interviews, and we've helped place over 200 full-time remote workers with companies across the United States. And we actually ourselves are a 100% remote team. But early on in our experience, when we were talking with these hiring managers, we were finding that they were passing on remote candidates that we were introducing them to. And even though those candidates had the skills and qualifications to do the job, these are the skills that hiring managers told us they were looking for. And when we would ask hiring managers for feedback, they were being really evasive. They were just like, they're not a good fit. Well, that's not exactly the kind of feedback that helps people improve. So we were persistent, and in our persistence in asking them why, we eventually got them to confess that they were passing on qualified remote candidates, not because of that candidate's experience, but about the quality of their interview. And of course, they were interviewing these candidates remotely, so they were video interviews. So we were like, wow, okay, so the key to being hired as a remote worker is about presenting yourself as reliable during your interview process. And that's because when you're working remotely, whether you're working for a company or for individual clients, you need to have a higher level of trust between the two parties than you would if you were in a normal office environment. So I'm going to show you a video interview, and basically everything that could possibly go wrong in this video interview does. And as we go, I'm going to talk about the 5 red flags hiring managers are looking for, and this is how you can avoid those red flags so that you can improve your chances of having a successful interview and chances of securing a remote job. So this is the point.
I can see you now, yeah? Can you see me?
Can you hear me, Tom?
Hi.
Okay, we have you now.
Yeah.
Nice to meet you, Tom.
Lovely to meet you.
Did you just try to shake my hand?
Yeah.
Okay. Why would you like to work with Goodman Law?
Well, I know that Goodman Law deal heavily in international law, and of course, that's an area that I specialise in, and I'm very well respected in.
Tom, the screen has frozen.
Did it freeze during the sneeze?
Okay, it's working again now.
Alrighty, so in that first clip, we have our first red flag, which is your audio-video quality. Most of us, when we go into an interview, we think the only first impression that matters is of ourselves. But when you're on a remote interview, you also have to worry about the first impression of your internet connection. Because if you have really bad audio-video quality, before you can even sell yourself to the hiring manager, they're going to put an X by your name. They're going to be thinking, this guy can't even get his internet to work. How am I supposed to rely on him to deliver what I need? And they're going to be like wheels spinning in their head, thinking every phone call this guy has is going to drop. His screen is always going to be freezing. So they're just going to pass on you. So you really want to make sure that you're not always saying, can you hear me now? Like Tom and Mr. Clark were doing. Not only does it interrupt the flow of the interview, but it makes it seem like you can't follow the conversation or you don't understand the questions that they're asking. And then the absolute nightmare is if in the process of the interview, the phone call drops or the screen freezes, like it did here when Tom sneezed. I think we can all imagine a much more awkward facial expression that could get frozen up there. And none of us want to be remembered when we're interviewing for having a really weird facial expression. We want to be remembered for our skills. So let's see what else happens. Oh no.
Hi, Mr. Clark.
Tom, I can't hear you. Hello?
I can see you now. Yeah. Can you see me?
Can you hear me, Tom?
Hi.
Okay, we have you now.
Yeah.
Nice to meet you, Tom.
Lovely to meet you.
Did you just try to shake my hand?
Yeah.
Okay. Why would you like to work with Goodman Law?
Well, I know that Goodman Law deal heavily in international law, and of course, that's an area that I specialise in. And I'm very well respected in.
Tom, the screen has frozen.
Did it freeze during the sneeze?
Okay, it's working again now. So why Goodman Law?
To be honest, I haven't looked at any other firms. Goodman Law is
What are you watching?
top of the. I'm not watching anything.
Is that making a murderer?
No, it's a job interview.
Huh? You still don't have a job?
No.
How many interviews have you been to now? So how's it going? Hey, yeah. Good lad. Personally, I'd hire him if I had a job. Obviously, I don't. He is punctual.
Thanks.
He always gets the round in. Good man.
I don't drink.
Oh, yeah, you do. He cleans up after himself as well. Except for the toilet, which he obviously...
Go on now.
Listen.
Yeah, go on. Thanks for.
Why aren't you wearing any trousers?
I'm wearing trousers.
Okay, Tom, we are running out of time here.
Please, any more questions?
Give us an example of a difficult situation and how you dealt with it.
I was hoping you'd ask this question because I've been given a case there recently in an international law case, and of course that dealt heavily in.
Tom, I can't hear you. Sorry, Tom?
Yeah, John, can you? John,
Tom, I'm afraid I can't, it's not coming through.
you haven't got your headphones plugged in.
Oh,
Yeah.
sorry, my bad. I didn't have them plugged in.
You didn't have them plugged in. Okay, can you plug? Thanks.
No, guys, sorry. I'm going to make myself useful.
Yeah, like I was saying, the case was an international law case, and of course I specialise in diplomatic law. So you don't have someone on that team. I could come on, man.
I'm over it.
Seriously, you're making a difficult situation even more difficult. I can't deal with it.
Well, turn it off. Did you get the job?
No, I didn't get the job.
Oh, that's a pity. You really had something special.
Alrighty. Okay, so in that second clip, we saw our next 3 red flags. So the first one being distractions and losing focus. I think that there's a lot more susceptibility to losing focus when you're not physically in the room with your interviewer. In Tom's case, his roommate bursts in, then he starts listening to music, then he starts vacuuming. Yeah, it's a spoof, but that happens in real life. And I don't know if any of you remember, but kind of recently there was a guy giving a live on-air interview from his home office for the BBC. And all of a sudden you see like his kids running in the background, and he's like trying to hold it together. And then the nanny comes and is like trying to gather them out, and like he's just trying to keep going. His wife? Oh, okay, sorry, his wife. So obviously that went viral. That's obviously a major distraction, and we might be like, oh, that's not gonna happen to us. But even minor distractions that could be background noises, so doorbell ringing, kid crying, dog barking, the laundry machine buzzing, hiring managers are noticing all of that, and they're gonna be like, okay, he's not in a professional setting, he's got like way too much going on. Or another big one is not having eye contact with the interviewer. And you're like, okay, I'm not there in person with them, but you know, you have that like little camera, that's the web camera on your computer or whatever, that's the interviewer's eyes. And it's super awkward, I know, to stare into that. You kind of get like cross-eyed, but anytime that you're not looking at that hole, they're like, okay, what are they looking at? Like if you have a notification pop up on your computer, you look down at your phone, somebody like walks in the room and is like gesturing to you wildly, and anything that makes you break eye contact, they're noticing, and they're like, okay, this guy can't keep it together. And then the next thing was self-presentation. So again, even though you're not physically there in person with your interviewer, you can't be lazy in your appearance. And we all know the cliche of remote workers dressing for business on the top and pajamas, or in Tom's case, boxers on the bottom. But as he exemplified in the video, you never know when you're gonna have to stand up. So I officially don't recommend only getting half dressed. It's always safe. It's always better to be safe rather than sorry. Another thing, maybe you don't think that their camera's on, they can't see you. We heard of somebody interviewing remotely, and she didn't think that the interviewer could see her for some reason, so she decided to take her interview lying down on the couch, and she rested her laptop on her legs, but she was wearing a short dress. And so all of a sudden she heard, you know, we can see you, and they saw a lot more than they wanted to. So, again, professional dress. And also, body language is very important too. Your on-screen presence, don't slouch like Tom. He looks very insecure. Make sure you have a very engaging face, smile, kind of do all the normal facial expressions you would if you were to be with them in person. And then the third thing that was in that second clip was the interview setting. In Tom's case, it's pretty obvious he's in his living room at home. It's really dark. It kind of looks like a dungeon or at least a student dorm. And then his roommate's like creeping around in the back. Wherever you do your remote interview, you want to be sure that you either have a really professional setting, so it looks like an office basically, or something pretty minimal, blank screen, white wall is fine, or that there's enough distance between you and whatever's behind you that it's indistinguishable. And that's because, again, if your interviewer is noticing your background and it's all disheveled and organized, it's not going to inspire confidence in them that you're an organized person and you're going to be able to work and be disciplined while they're, halfway around the world. So those are those three things. The fifth thing was actually not in the video, but it's people's answer to why do you want to work remotely? A lot of times we hear, I just want to travel, or I want to avoid my commute. I'm a shy person, I'm introverted, and I don't like to work with other people, or I want to avoid childcare costs, I want to spend more time with my family. Those all may very well be true, but they're not really the great motivators that hiring managers want to hear. They want to hear something more professional sounding, such as, I know I'm more productive when I work remotely, I can achieve more results for you, XYZ, or I want to take advantage of opportunities to advance my career that I can't do locally. So just in summary, these 5 things, I have this thing in my hand, are audio video quality, focus and distractions, self-presentation, professional setting, and your answer to why you want to work remotely. If you are wondering how else you can get skills to be successful in working remotely, we've partnered with Go Remote School. They are the first online teaching platform that only has online courses specifically tailored to remote workers. So you can learn topics like cross-cultural communication, personal branding for remote work, productivity while traveling, and how to get a remote job. And there's little cards on the seats that you might see as well. Their website is goremoteschool.com. And those are the 5 things. So any questions so far on 5 things that hiring managers don't want to tell you? No? Okay. Well, if you do have any questions, myself and actually my Capa team are here, and you can find us and ask us if you have any questions about passing a remote interview so you can get remote work. Whoop, I guess I can't go back. Thank you.